price increases are fair? This is the burning question that's playing on the minds of business owners. Hi, this is Shweta here from Growth Idea, and today I want to help you understand how to answer this question. What's being seen right now in the marketplace, especially with the volatility, with the inflationary pressures, that businesses are getting approached by their suppliers, or you might be thinking of approaching your clients with price increase proposition. But again, it's very commonly found that there are people who are trying to take advantage of it or don't know how to position their price increase the right way, in the fair way, to their clients. So if you are in that zone where you are feeling the price pressure from your suppliers, or you are thinking about price increase and what's the fair price increase, then I would really want you to pay attention to the next few slides, because I want to share some slides with you so we can go through a case study, an example, and hopefully that will make things a lot clearer, or will just remind you of the fundamentals. Okay. So let me bring it up on the screen, and feel free to make notes, and just so that it crystallizes, for yourself. So back to the question, which price increases are fair, right? So let's have a look. There are 4 simple steps that we are looking at here. So the first thing is, if, for example, a supplier, so let's play a scenario here. Imagine that you are a t-shirt wholesale business, and you have your branded t-shirt supplier approaching you saying that cotton prices are going up. Sorry, I'll have to take our prices up by, say, 12% because of cotton prices going up by 12%, okay? Now, in this case, when you are thinking of negotiating or pushing back or wondering whether this is right or wrong, the first step is, look, you broadly know what are the main cost inputs for your suppliers, right? Or your client would have a good idea as to what are your cost inputs in your pricing of your goods and services. So make sure that in this case, let's work with the supplier scenario, your supplier scenario. So identify the main cost inputs. And then the second step is try to have a pretty solid approximate idea of saying, okay, what is the composition? How these total cost is made up of, right? And then once you break that down, the third one is choose a starting point, whether it's 2020 or 2021 or in 2022, month of January, whatever the timelines are, to see how am I calculating the change in cost inputs. And then after that, you can very much be in a position to decide what price increase or what range is actually a fair range to look at. Okay, so let's look at an example. So back to our branded t-shirt supplier, this person has come to you saying we need to take your prices up because cotton prices have gone up by 12%. So I want you to first focus on this section. If you can see my cursor here. So imagine the sale price, unit sale price is 10 and 25% is the margin here. And if you look at the breakdown, so the key elements input here is cotton. We're looking at other material, if there's polyester or some other material that's being used. Then obviously there is labor right here, and then transport. So you know that these are the key input which go into making a t-shirt. Then you're looking at what is the breakdown of these input. And again, a good approximate idea is more than sufficient here. So if you work it out and say, okay, fine, roughly 32% is cotton, 32% of the sale price is cotton, 15% is other material, 25% is labor, 3% is transport, and then this person is left with 25% gross margin. Once you get that idea, then it's about understanding, okay, what is the inflationary pressure? In this case, the supplier is saying it's 12% cotton price increase, right? Now, you can absolutely validate that. And I'll show you some of the places where you have publicly available information and you can validate whether that statement is false or true. Now, in this case, let's also incorporate not just cotton increase, but also say labor prices, right? So inflationary wage pressure, and also the transport, because of fuel and everything, there's this kind of hike that is seen, right, in this example. Now, what I've done here is I've worked out a couple of scenarios where if I'm just looking at cotton price inflation, then what is assuming the same margin for the supplier will should try to pass on 5.8%, right? Because 12% is actually only 32% of the total composition. So when you work this out, you're saying that 3.2 actually moves up to 3.6, which means to protect his margin or her margin, the supplier is should only pass on 5.8% to absorb 12% cotton price. And this is a very commonly found mistake. I know when I speak, it might sound very obvious, but even when you are thinking of your price increase and saying, okay, fine, I'm passing this on to our clients, just be careful that you work it out with your input base, with your margin, and then see if you want them to shoulder some of that pressure on your margin, or are you passing on the whole thing, or are you absorbing the whole thing, which I wouldn't suggest, but absolutely work out your numbers, okay? In this scenario, if it's only labor that I'm looking at, which is 19%, then again, to protect the margin, the supplier will try to pass on 4.7% price increase, and similarly for transport, right? And cumulative, assuming the supplier is smart and is aware of all the inflationary pressures, will actually try to pitch 16% in this case, up to 16%. Anything beyond is actually wrong, but up to 16% with the assumption that the person wants to maintain the entire gross margin. Now, remember, this is partnership that we are in. So if the entire economy or the marketplace is under pressure, of course, we want to support our suppliers, but at the same time, it has to be sharing the pressure. So now you have the baseline where you know that for the supplier to protect the margin, what kind of increases, maximum increase, which is fair and justified. But then this is where the negotiation kicks in. How well you know your numbers, what is your stand for that supplier, how important are you, and that will determine your negotiated position. In this case, again, I'm just showing the numbers just to drive the point to you, is that if you say, okay, fine, I will negotiate hard, and yes, the margin will come under pressure for my supplier, say assuming from 25%, it comes down to 22%, and therefore, what does that mean? And then you can see here, all of a sudden, the price increases that you can negotiate with your supplier, saying, look, we have to share the pressure here. I can't take everything, what you're suggesting. And then you work it out, and actually it's significantly lesser compared to what the supplier was positioning earlier. Why? Because you know the numbers, and on that basis, you're negotiating really properly and fairly, where the pressure is being shared and not just being passed on, or people trying to get away just because there is inflation all around, right? So you have to be very, very careful. Otherwise, this kind of lack of understanding can absolutely chip away margin, and that's not what you are keen on, I'm sure. So just to give you a sense, so that you have your finger on the pulse, raw materials at greatest risk of price increase, as you can see on the screen right now: aluminium, plastics, some substantial increases we're talking about, ferrous metals, steel. So it is percolating in every part of our lives. And again, how your business is made of, you have to be mindful that these are the kind of price increases which are happening. And just quick show of slides, like this is all publicly available information. You can just find this data on steel benchmarker and see how the steel prices are moving. You can look at timber pricing depending on what kind of business you're in. Again, World Bank data is there on natural gas and different markets. You can select. You could select depending on where you're playing your business game, right? Bank of England data is giving you all kinds of fluctuations on the currency in the currency space. So the point is, there is enough data available for you to understand what kind of cotton price increases are or fuel cost increases are. So make sure you are coming from the base of knowledge so you can absolutely make sure that the price increase is fair. So just going back to this is saying, look, whether an input cost increase is reasonable depends on a detailed review of input mix, as I explained earlier, and what is the kind of price history, how the price movements are happening, and the profit margins. Once you're aware of that, your discussion can be very strong, can be very meaningful. And back to you and I, remember one thing: these are the market times when things are shifting very fast, and one has to be on top of their business fundamentals, on the numbers. And whether you are on the receiving side from your suppliers, make sure you've done your calculations or your team has done that, and you are coming from the place of information, knowledge, and proper negotiation techniques. And if you're the one pitching price increase to your clients, make sure that there is a proper narrative, proper logic, rationale, and it is fair. And wherever, if you're in a different kind of a market where demand supplies in your favor, then absolutely try to also bolster your margin and see how you can build in these times, because it's a time. And whether you benefit from it or you get impacted in a negative way, it could be out of your control, but there are a lot of things that are within your control. And remember, you don't want to be working hard to just be at the same place. So make sure you're aware, you protect your margin, and subscribe to this channel so you can get more pertinent information for your business, especially in these times. And most importantly, get in touch if you're interested in moving forward, because that's what our clients are doing.